From the KDLM studios, it's time for Hodge Podge, presented by Partnership for Health and airing on Lakes TV3.
Good morning. Welcome into Hodge Podge. We've reached another Friday on this 5th day of March. I'm Joel Ketke. We are brought to you by Partnership for Health each and every Monday through Friday. Today, joined via our Zoom studios. Always fun to talk with this gal. Kelly Blackledge joins us from the Tamarac National Wildlife Refuge. Kelly, as always, good morning. Thanks for being with us today on Hodge Podge.
Yeah, good morning. It's another sunny one, and it's going to be the best weekend to be outside.
Now, I'm looking now, folks who can't see into our studio. You've got a nice little sun reflection. You must have a window in your office that's kind of putting that tint through there.
I do. Some people might close the shade, but I just can't. I love to feel the sun.
See, I had to close the shade because with the window open, I can't even see you through our Zoom studios. We got a lot of stuff to talk about here this morning. Spring kind of feels like it's in the air, although the Weather Service telling us northern Minnesota could see maybe some 5-inch snow, some places north of here next week by midweek, but maybe an inch or two in our area. But that isn't stopping the critters out at the refuge, correct, Kelly?
That's right. The fun thing about having a warm spell like this is that you do see a little bit more movement in wildlife. So there is a lot more happening out there when the sun comes out or it's warm at night. And we are getting closer to those days where there's a lot more sunshine too. So the days are longer, and that certainly triggers things in critters like the chickadee, that now has that more of the cheeseburger sound.
Cheeseburger sound.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nicely done.
Yeah.
I think of the line from the TV show MASH. That's all you do? Bird imitations?
Oh boy. Yeah.
You got any other critters that are out and about this time of the season, Tamarac?
This is the time when, as you know, there are animals that hibernate and animals that just spend time in a torpor situation. So they're not true hibernators, but they're just sleeping a lot. And these are the days that they start waking up. So just the other day, I saw raccoons. Maybe people have seen a lot of raccoons out and about. And skunk, that's another one. Watch out for skunk on the road. They will be waking up and coming out to have a meal or two before it might get cold again. Chipmunks will be coming out. It wouldn't be, unusual to see a chipmunk if you go for a hike. So to have those kind of sightings in the middle of winter when there's a lot of snow on the ground is kind of unique. You've probably seen deer really moving around too. So throughout the day and certainly throughout the evenings, dawn and dusk, we're seeing a lot of deer moving about. So yeah, there's a lot of activity that happens when the days get a little longer, and then to warm up like this is pretty spectacular. So
let's talk about skunks a little bit. Does this particular animal get a bad rap? I think everybody, when the first thing you think of skunks, what do you think of? Oh no, I'm going to get sprayed. If I see one, I'm going to stink for 5 to 6 days. Now, that's their defense mechanism, but let's talk about that. You're out in the woods, you're in Tamarac, you're walking around, you come across a skunk. What should people do? Is their natural defense against humans? I see you, so I'm going to release my odorous liquid. Or are they just as afraid of us as we are of them?
Generally speaking, they're certainly scaredy cats as well. So they're going to, hopefully they turn around and walk away, right? If you come across a skunk, but that's their defense against predators. So there are animals that like to eat skunks, believe it or not, no matter how they smell. So they need to be able to protect themselves. And yeah, it can be quite a weapon that, if any animal can shoot anything a distance, it's a skunk, not a porcupine. They can't deliver those quills at all. They're just attached to their body, but a skunk can have a impact at a distance. So that can be, and of course we always see that in our pets that like to get close to them aren't quite as knowledgeable about the distance that can occur. So I always have Dawn dish soap, hydrogen peroxide on hand, baking powder, to take care of the odor if your pet gets sprayed.
Does the old wives' tale about tomato juice, does that work? I've never, does that actually work, or is that just something that people have talked about for 100 years that never actually works?
Yeah, I feel like maybe it does for some, but the peroxide baking soda thing really works a lot better. And one misconception about using that too is that people are apt to hose down a dog or get them wet right away first, and really the baking powder peroxide needs to go on first to absorb that before, otherwise if it gets wet it won't work as well. So yeah, anyway, that's
well, I think we've all everybody's driven down a road at one point or another, and of course you go the first thing you do is look in the backseat at the kids, then you go, oh no, that's and it may have been there for 4 or 5 days, and that aroma just lingers in that vicinity. So it's a very, very pungent odor. Yes,
definitely. Well, hopefully we'll be able to see some pretty neat things this weekend with this sunshine out. There's still can still go fishing. You can still hike the trail. I mean, this is a great time to spend some time outdoors. You just can't beat a weekend like this to be able to do that. You might want to wear rubber boots. There could be some muddy spots out there. There isn't a whole lot of snow left on the trails. So things will get a little slushy, I imagine, by Sunday.
As I look at the forecast, my anticipation is you guys will have some fairly healthy traffic at Tamarac throughout this weekend, as we've got temperatures on Sunday, possibly as high as 57. We'll take that. But I think you make a good point. Galoshes or boots might be in order if you're hitting those trails. When people are coming out, we talk about the spring thaw, and once the snow kind of starts to dissipate, there's a lot of people that do a unique thing, and I'm sure you've heard of this. This is probably not the ideal time, but earlier in the winter, but there is a very large group of people that enjoy a sport called shed hunting. And no, they're not out looking for your shed in your backyard. This is when wildlife, most notably whitetails in our area, deer drop their antlers, usually right around the first of the year. And if you do this, people don't understand that these shed antlers provide a huge source of protein for smaller animals. If you find one, you'll see mice or chipmunks or something have had their share of it. But there's a lot of folks that aren't into the whole hunting deal, but like to take their families out, go through the woods, and find sheds. Now, I'm guessing in the Tamarac area, have you come across some pretty decent shed sets out there at Tamarac, Kelly?
Yeah, you certainly can. However, on Tamarac Refuge and our federal lands, we don't allow the collection of sheds, so those have to be left on the ground if you do find one. But they are certainly, like you said, an important source of calcium and nutrition for small animals. So they are a part of the ecosystem.
It's like a treasure hunt. I mean, literally, when my kids and I find a set of sheds, it's really a unique experience, especially when the kids see them, because they look over and they go, "Hey, that looks like an antler," and then they go and they pick it up, and it looks really nice. So, yeah, I'm sure that I'm glad you mentioned that, because I wasn't aware that don't leave everything you find in the refuge. Another topic we want to touch on today, Kelly. What's going on? Is the sanctuary area now closed?
Right. So part of the refuge is considered sanctuary area, and that's the north part of the refuge. Everything north of Highway 26 is part of the sanctuary area that's set aside for animals that are coming back to start nesting and raise their young. So in the spring and through the summer months, that area is closed to trespassing. There's a few exceptions there in terms of having, through the summer, you can fish at a few of the lakes, Lost Lake, Two Island, and Waboos Lake. So there are a few areas that are open in that area, but no hiking through that northern part. So all the hiking will occur from now on through the southern part of the refuge, and you can hike anywhere. So knowing it's going to be a busy weekend, this is a good time. If there's a parking lot full, it's a good time to kind of look for a special place that you haven't been before. For example, if you take Highway 126, turned out a lot of people don't go in that area, but you can access the North Country Trail and hike a place that you can spend some peaceful time out there. There's a little trail off of Mitchell Bridge in that area. There's a trail that goes up to Rice Lake. You can hike up that trail, or if you go around to 400th Avenue, there's access to the North Country Trail there too. So there's lots of places to go. If you find that the Old Indian Trail parking lot is full or the Pine Lake parking lot is full, keep driving, and there's a lot of places to access there. At each one of the kiosks, there's a map for all of the trails. So you can, grab a map at the kiosk and check out someplace different. I challenge you to explore a trail that you haven't been on before.
We talk about that transition into spring. Obviously, winter hopefully is behind us. But now the refuge looks so different this time of year because the trees don't have their leaves. And, of course, we don't have the green and all the upgrowth in the forest. So this time when you're out in the forest, you can actually see a lot farther than you normally can when you're out in the woods because you don't have all the overgrowth.
That's right. Yeah. And you might be surprised at some of the colors that you see on the trail. It's a good time to, moss is one of the things that will be green out there. And they'll start, I'm sure with the snow melt, you'll be able to see more of the moss, whether it's on the edge of the tree or the base of the tree. And you know what else is kind of fun to look for at the base of a tree like that, if there is some snow around, are snow fleas. So there are insects that will come out. They like to live in the leaf litter. And when that trunk of the tree collects the warmth of the sun and, it gets a ring around it at the base where there's no snow, the snow fleas start coming out on top of the snow. So it'll look like pepper on top of the snow. They're also called springtails sometimes because they kind of bounce on top of the snow. So watch for those. I have no doubt that there'll be snow fleas along the trail. And no, these aren't things that are going to connect with your dog it's just a name of the insect because it's kind of similar, small little black pepper like thing, but it's not a flea that's going to make a home in dog fur, I guess.
I learn something new every time you're with us on Hodge Podge. Speaking of which, we're going to take a break, come back in our segment. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the Friends of Tamarac. And we've been talking about the beautiful weather and maybe time to head out to Tamarac this week. Coming back with more on Hodge Podge right after these.